Hey, welcome back to Two Soup Guys for Sucks. I'm Dylan.
Vinny?
And we're going to take a look at something we haven't looked at Intel in a long time. And full disclosure, I think they suck. Not saying that we should go along here, not what this is about. It's more the opposite. And I kind of, something happened with Donald Trump and Intel, and it is worth looking into, in my opinion. So look at this giant. Oh, here, let me make it so then you can, boom,
Yeah,
my mouse.
that
Look at that.
looks sustainable. They must have cracked the code to AI,
For
general AI.
sure. Yeah. I'm going to show you how many CEOs they've had in the last 6 years. That would be a good segue. But obviously, going from this 19 range to 25 in 3 days, 4 days, pretty incredible. Why did that
Mhm.
happen? Here's their weekly chart. Not exactly what you want to see in a tech company when tech is, I mean, there's companies that just have AI in the name that just go higher. Like you don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah. I mean,
sustainable.
whether or not they
It's not
deserve
good.
it,
But yeah,
different question. But yeah,
that's fair.
uh, Intel is a classic example of a value trap, I think.
Value
And
trap.
this is someone that was a former Intel shareholder. Someone had asked, because I mentioned it in one of the previous videos, what my profit and loss on Intel was. I'd have to go back and calculate it because I first started buying it in the low 50s. I was selling covered calls on it pretty regularly. I started disposing my shares in the 40s, 30s, and sold my last share 25. So 50% maybe loss on that particular position at a maximum. Like I said, I sold covered calls along the way a couple dozen times, so that probably mitigated a significant portion of it.
Yeah.
But this is, during the time period where Intel was watching their market share just erode here. This is a share of the CPU market total controlled by Intel versus AMD. So,
Yeah.
yeah, not great.
It's although I will say a covered call strategy on a stock that continuously loses value, pretty good because your cover calls will always never get called away. Not bad. Smart.
True, true. You don't have to
Smart.
worry about getting called away in that particular circumstance. You want to go to the next slide?
Boom.
Um, Yeah, yeah. This is what their revenue did during that time period too. Not great. You know, Intel has been constantly trying to revolutionize itself for the last 5 years or so. I would say during this entire time period with the company's lackluster performance, they tried to reinvent themselves and go and chase a lower margin business, and now they're shutting it down under the most recent CEO. So that's great. That's a lot of
Maybe
money
not.
that was spent and with what return. I want to go to the last one too. So net income was even worse than revenue because they were investing heavily in putting these fabs in place, which is a very capital intensive process. And yeah, now we're going to look like shutting part of it down at least.
Maybe not.
Yeah, yeah. And how do they achieve that? By selling more shares, which is the exact opposite thing I like to see. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes when companies look horrible, they can be fantastic investments, and maybe Intel is worth it at this point. I don't know, but until they've proven that they can turn the ship around successfully under some management, I would even consider taking a bite of this from a long term perspective.
Yeah. It is funny because they still actually make a lot of money, but they just make less every year. So here is the last time a president or something invested in Intel. It was 2024 during the Chips Act. They pledged, I can't remember, it was 8 billion. Okay,
Eight and a half.
7.8. They pledged 8.5. They ended up giving 7.8 billion.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're trying to get fabs here and not relying on Taiwan semiconductors, right?
Mhm.
So it looked like a cool thing. I'm going to show you real quick. That was here. Where was this? Where I
So
didn't
it's
save it.
November
Oh, here we go.
2024.
Yeah, it was. They did it right here. So you did have a bump, but ended up not being worth it.
I mean, I don't know the structure of that deal, whether or
Oh
not
my god,
from
it's
a
right here.
business holder's standpoint, it's fantastic, but it probably is, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Disregard what I said. It was on the next chart. I should just trust myself. They did it right here. They got a bump and then, ooh, not great.
Yeah,
Not what you want to see. It's a fun roller coaster.
no.
So Trump is in talks with Intel to have the U.S. government potentially take a stake in this struggling chip maker. Granted, this is not the same thing that Biden Harris did when it was awarding money. This is like a stake in a company. Not exactly the same thing, but the sentiment is the U.S. government is behind you. So is that a great thing? Obviously, the market thinks so. Um, Intel declined to comment, but was deeply committed to supporting Trump's efforts, obviously, because they would get a bunch of money here. My favorite part of this is this last paragraph. Intel shares surged over 7% in regular trading and then another 2.6% after the bell. The discussions followed a meeting this week between Trump and Intel CEO, I apologize if I pronounce this wrong, Lip-Bu Tan. The meeting came days after Trump publicly demanded that Tan resign over his investment in Chinese tech companies. So went from you got to resign to can I throw some money at you? That cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of cool.
I'm not even sure if there's a legal mechanism by which the U.S. government can directly invest
I
into a
don't.
private enterprise like this.
They have before. I don't. I don't. I don't think it's an issue. I'm not educated enough on it to definitively say, but I don't see it's there's. I feel like there's ways to do it where it would be fine. Although when you're
Yeah,
president, you can kind of you can make
I was like
anything
during the
happen.
pandemic, I know Federal Reserve was holding direct like U.S. equities, but
Yeah, there you go. There's ways to do it. So, right here. Intel warned last month that it may have to get out of the chip manufacturing business if it does not land external customers to make chips in its factories. Then this happens. Coincidence? I think not.
sure.
And the CEO, took a job 6 months back, and he's basically been tasked to undo years of missteps that left Intel struggling to make inroads. I will say, when you have a giant company and you have Intel, who had AMD, who had a fraction of the R&D budget, who then consistently made better chips. We had done a video on this before where AMD had
Uh-huh.
$2 billion to work with and Intel had 20, and you saw what
Mhm.
happened with their market share. This was a company that was at $3 a share, AMD, and is now at like, I don't know, 180.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what a horrible CEO. You idiot. Oh, that was this one. There you go. So here's just a list of the recent CEOs. 12 years. You got two of these interims, but, 6. So
Yeah,
solid.
that's good.
I
Hey, if things keep going this way for Intel, you and I might eventually be CEOs there.
It's true. I feel qualified for Intel only. No one else.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can run that ship into the ground as well as everyone else can.
Yeah. Like that's Yahoo CEO. So, I do remember when this guy came over as CEO and they had the same thing, how he's going to right the ship, how it's all going to be
Yeah.
better. And we did a whole thing on it. Nope. He's out. Didn't work.
I was optimistic.
So the real
Don't get
question
that.
before I go to the next part of this, because it's not super related, is this a short opportunity? Now,
Yeah.
I don't really want to short against how do I say this?
A
A
tweetable
yeah,
entity.
thank you. A tweetable entity. We'll go with that. A tweetable entity where a president can dictate markets more than he probably should have the power to.
Common sense logic. Yeah.
The other problem is like buying an option right now because of the volume. The decay you're going to get off the bat is rough. So if it can sustain this level and chop around on low volume for a little bit, I am probably going to buy a put. I think
Okay.
Intel's trash, but it would need to stay in this range of $25, $26. If it drops down to 21, which I suspect it probably will very soon,
Mm.
then it's not worth it.
Well, I mean, you could do like a bearish call play on it where you sell a call and buy a higher call for insurance just in case it takes
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. The tweeting is iffy. The tweeting makes this a lot more scary. So, 'cause, I mean, it's one tweet. All Trump has to say is, "Man, Intel's great," and then it just goes up. I don't like that.
Yeah.
This is not related to Intel. It was just a very interesting thing that happened this week that Vinny and I were talking about with AMD and NVIDIA. So, chip sales were restricted to China, and after this last decision, no longer restricted to China. They kind of can do whatever they want as long as they give a 15% cut of the company's sales to said country to the government.
Yeah.
It is an interesting thing. I agree with Vinny. I did think this was illegal into looking at it, but there's a whole discussion on, is this illegal? Can you do that? We're not really sure.
Yeah.
These are good. Export controls are frontline defense and protect our national security. And we should not set a precedent that incentivizes the government to grant licenses, and basically just security principles are negotiable for the right fee. Is basically what this is.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, man. I'll say that we'll find out the right answer as to whether or not this is actually legal in about 3 years, once it finally gets adjudicated by the courts.
It's fair.
But it's unprecedented to my understanding. Say
It's
that.
definitely interesting. All right, guys, let us know if you're going to take a piece of intel, long or short. I would like to know.
You got a toilet flushing sound here.